Manuel, I believe you're muted.
I'm glad that was part of the recording.
From the top.
Yeah, thanks so much to everyone that took the time to visit with us today. Looks like we have over 190 participants, and let's begin. All right, so again, thank you for visiting with us today to talk about the development and building of the Fall 2023 schedule. Ryan Pierson is our Director of Scheduling and Online Programs, and I serve as your AVP of Academic Operations for City State. Ryan has direct oversight over scheduling, and he's leading this conversation for us today. So thank you, Ryan. Next slide. Our guiding principles in building this schedule include a first step of a concept of a rollover, and it is informed by the course offerings of the Fall 2022 schedule. But the most important guiding principle is that the schedule meet the student and programmatic needs. One of the most important barometers of our success will be to see that our students have the ability to take classes associated with multiple campuses with sufficient pass time between classes. And of course, the schedule is built in alignment with the Common Academic Calendar, and course offerings, including online, will be identified with each campus. Next slide. One of the most unique circumstances of this schedule build is a transition from our current instances of banner, 12 instances for 12 colleges, to one college banner for City State. To this effect, building codes have been standardized and consolidated, and the overall inventory of more than 1,700 rooms has been uploaded to Banner. In addition, about 4,000 sections from the Fall 2022 have been crosswalked and uploaded to Banner to serve as the foundation of the rollover approach. To be clear, this is not a rollover schedule. All the schedule is being built anew in one college banner, but we're using the paradigm of a rollover schedule as a strategy to stand up the schedule for 2023. To help us complete this work, early this month, we onboarded 3 academic associates that will help us connect to each campus during the schedule build. We have also done work to set up course caps, but just want to clarify that this work is very basic, often looking at course caps at all colleges and adopting an average class size. There will be opportunities for fine-tuning as we move forward. Next slide. So this represents our city-state definition or calculation of the credit hour. It is the approximation of student work required to achieve expected student learning outcomes, verified by evidence of student achievement. Each semester hour reasonably approximates not less than 45 hours of effort by students over the duration of a semester. The expectation is that each hour of direct faculty instruction will be associated with a minimum of 2 hours of course-related work, including but not limited to reading, reviewing, organizing notes, studying, and completing assignments. And here, 1 hour of contact time is defined as 50 minutes of actual contact. As it regards online and hybrid courses, of course, online and hybrid courses must meet the same credit hour requirements as face-to-face courses. Next slide. And we engaged in a conversation regarding the community hour, and we hope that as we move forward, we will be able to integrate into our scheduling processes a time that would allow students to take advantage of events and opportunities offered at various campuses during a dedicated common time. Many of you have activity or meeting periods or common hours already built into your scheduling practices. Please continue to observe these as best fit your local needs. In the future, as students interact with faculty and peers from other campuses, we should open this conversation again to consider not only a single campus life, but the college experience that our students will grow into as they begin to experience learning opportunities and programs in a different way in CT State. Next slide. As we move forward, we are adopting mandatory finals week. It's important that finals week is used to carry out an activity or assessment to meet the minimum required instructional time, and that the comprehensive final assessments only be given at the end of each term. And next slide. Ryan?
Sure. Thank you, Manuel. I'm Ryan Pierson, Director of Scheduling and Online Programs for CT State. Welcome. So good afternoon. I'll be taking you through the timeline and showing you some features of the first ever fall 2023 Connecticut State Community College academic class schedule. As Manuel mentioned, we have been working to build a rollover, or what we're also calling a foundational schedule, using data from the fall 2022 schedule. It's important to note that a traditional rollover will not be possible for the first academic year of CT State, since the new instance of Banner does not have any previously existing section or catalog data. We thought it was important to give the campuses a starting point to work from rather than starting from a blank slate. The rollover will include about 75% of the sections that ran last fall. We did not roll over developmental or gateway English and math, as those schedules will look quite different compared to fall 2022, and we'll have more on that in a bit. There were also many courses that were offered in fall 2022 that did not come through the various curriculum alignment committees. Next Monday, February 6th, campus deans will be receiving a packet of scheduling resources, including the rollover schedule, as an Excel worksheet that they can use to mark changes, additions, and deletions to the rollover or foundational schedule. This worksheet will assist the campus schedulers in entering the schedules into one college banner. More on the campus schedulers coming up in a couple slides. Campuses will have approximately 5 weeks to produce the first draft of their schedule. We've mapped out a recommended timeline, however, each campus can adjust accordingly. During this time, the individuals who have been identified as the campus schedulers will participate in a training conducted by our banner consultant. That will be an overview of some of the changes to schedule management and faculty workload within one college banner. Overall, banner will look very much like the old banner, with very little change. After campuses complete their first draft, CT State will begin its review. We'll ensure that banner data is presented consistently across all campuses, compare faculty load reports against union workload limits, add lab and studio fees, create section links and cross-list codes. We'll also start to look at the distribution of LRON, HighFlex, and LRCR courses across the college, ensuring that these types of synchronous classes are spread across multiple days and times to give our students the most options. Any recommended changes to the schedule will be communicated back to the campus dean. Our goal is to post the schedule no later than March 27th, 1 week prior to the start of fall registration. After registration opens, classroom assignments will continue to be handled by campuses through the use of EMS. All other changes to the schedule and PTL contract distribution will be handled by the CT State Academic Associates. I want to take a moment to clarify the roles of the campus schedulers and the CT State Academic Associates of scheduling and faculty workload. Since we don't have our full scheduling staff in place in New Britain at this time, we thought it would make the most sense to utilize our existing campus talent to assist in standing up the initial schedule draft. These individuals, many of whom have performed these tasks for many years, will work with their deans to help to gather schedules from department chairs and/or program coordinators, division directors, etc., and enter schedules and workload information into Banner. The campus schedulers will have full access to one college banner up until March 10th, at which point any changes to the schedule will be communicated directly to the CT State Academic Associate assigned to that campus. The CT State Academic Associates will be the direct point of contact for campus deans and campus schedulers, and will provide technical assistance throughout the process. In addition, they will handle all lab fees, cross-listing, section linking, and we'll be building the developmental and co-requisite math and English sections in Banner based on the campus recommended schedules. In addition to being the point of contact for 4 campuses, they will be working closely with 2 of the Connecticut State school deans, looking at equity, consistency, and efficiency in scheduling across all campuses. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our 3 fantastic and talented academic associates of scheduling and faculty workload. Erin O'Neill and Lolita Wynter come to us from Manchester Community College, and Sabina Ostynska comes to us from Tunxis. They started their transition in a couple weeks ago and have jumped right into some projects while also finishing up some of their campus responsibilities as our spring semester got underway. Moving forward, they'll be a valuable resource for your campus. Please give them a warm welcome when you guys cross paths. So what are some features of a one college schedule? Our common instructional methods are not changing. The same modalities will be available for campuses to utilize moving forward. The full descriptions of each of these can be found on the ct.edu webpage under Course Search. We consolidated about 50 unique parts of term down to 8. Late start classes will run for 13 weeks and begin 2 weeks into the semester. 7-week terms at CT State will be offered as 2 7-week terms within the existing 15-week semester with a 1-week break between each term. This is known as the 7-1-7 format. 5-week terms will also be available for program curriculum that requires 5-week classes, but will not be widely available for use at this time. An important component of course planning is the proper distribution of course offerings. Standardizing class times will make it easier for students to register for synchronous classes such as traditional, LRON, and high-flex courses at campuses across the state by mitigating instructional and finals week scheduling conflicts, while ensuring the proper minimum amount of pass time in between classes. It also allows us to maximize space utilization throughout the day across the days of the week. The timetable presented here shows the times classes should be scheduled in 3, 4, or 6 contact hour courses. Of course, most of our sections are 3 contact hours that meet either Monday and Wednesday or Tuesday, Thursday, or once per week. We will be going with 75-minute or a 150-minute block for 3 contact hour classes that meet 2 times or 1 time a week, respectively. As Manuel mentioned earlier, finals week is utilized to meet minimum instructional time. Here are some examples of accelerated class times. A couple things to note here are that late start classes for 3 contact hour courses are staggered to allow students to take both late start and full term classes. And the finals week period for 7-1-7 classes will be held during the last scheduled class meeting. So why did we choose these times? When talking about the 3-credit, 2-day per week class times, these times are actually the most commonly used start times across our current system. They align very closely to the standard times at the 4 CSUs and UConn, allowing students to take classes at multiple state institutions more seamlessly. Lastly, we looked at all the local bus schedules, and these times don't appear to have any major impacts on students' ability to arrive to or depart campus using public transportation. Of course, there will be many exceptions to the use of standard times. Courses in specialized programs like nursing that do not traditionally follow standard times, lab science courses where there isn't enough time to prep labs in between, for instance, due to limited lab technician availability. For on-campus cohorts or learning communities that would necessitate alternate times to align with campus operational hours, and there will be other exceptions on a case-by-case basis as well. So what will this schedule look like to students, staff, and faculty once it's released? Subject codes will all be 3 or 4 characters and will no longer have an asterisk. Course numbers are no longer campus specific with the alpha character in front of it, like G111 or B101, etc. All CRNs will be 5 digits and will start with the number that represents the term in which the section is being offered. So 1 is for fall, 2 is for winter, 4 is for spring, 5 is for summer. The course search tool will look much different than we're used to. here's what the basic search looks like. You'll be able to search by campus, subject, parts of term like late start or 7 weeks. The advanced search can be expanded to search by other parameters like days, times, weekend, and many others. The search results page will also look quite different. You will have all of the same information you're used to seeing, and then some. If you hover over the meeting times, you get a pop-up box that shows additional section information like building, room, and class dates. If you click on the course title, you get this pop-up window that includes even more information, such as textbook information, course descriptions, fees, prerequisites, and much more. So switching gears, we're going to hear from Rebecca Rist-Brown, Criminal Justice Program Coordinator at Middlesex, about how the criminal justice programs collaborated to build a comprehensive statewide schedule.
Thank you, Ryan. So the criminal justice program coordinators last semester met over a period of probably about 6 weeks, and we took a stab at how to create this system-wide schedule. And this is just an example of how we did it. We're not claiming we're the experts on this, but this is just kind of the step-by-step approach we took. Ryan and Amy Fest were great at answering questions that we had along the way. We started around the end of November and sent a draft about midway to the end of December. So the first thing we started with was we created a list of what did we really need to offer. So we have 2 programs, criminal justice and criminology. We looked through both degrees and said, what are the core classes we have to offer? We kind of put electives to the side and just looked at core. The next thing we did is we analyzed the enrollment data from the fall of 2022. Katie Kleiss up at Manchester Community College was incredible at helping me analyze the data. We really looked at how many sections do we really need. So for example, for Intro to Criminal Justice, we offered 12 sections online, and it turned out that the average was lower than what we needed. And if we really wanted to maximize at 30 students per each online class, we really only need 9 sections. We didn't need 12. Our theory and philosophy of our group was we would rather add classes than cancel classes. We all know how hard it is on our students and our faculty when we have to cancel classes. So we figured we would rather be able to shadow and add classes moving forward than have to cancel. The next thing we did is we started with the online class. We created a chart of how many online classes we actually needed based on the data from fall of 2022. We created a master chart. Then we went through and we did an LRON schedule. We created a master schedule. We all agreed as CJPCs that we would offer our LRONs in the evening from 5:30 to, I think it's the 8:15 block, with 1 day a week meeting. And we created a master template of 16 classes, 8 of which are 100 level, and the other 8 are going to be 200 level. We're hoping to actually include an FYE in that master block schedule as well, so our students could actually get their program requirements done fully through LRON in the evening. We then met as a group and started delegating who was going to take which sections of online and LRON classes. And the PCs looked at who were their preferred adjuncts, what did they need for their own course loads, and each campus kind of volunteered to take courses. We also added the backup courses. So in case we do need to add another course, online section of Intro to CJ, we have a campus ready with a faculty member that we can call upon to add that. We then, on our own, created our own on-campus, on-ground schedules, which at our final meeting, we combined everything together into one Excel document, looked it over, made sure that our neighboring campuses weren't really conflicting with certain courses, such as, you know, if I'm offering forensic science at Middlesex, that I'm not offering it in person on the same night that Three Rivers is. We tried to make sure we staggered our neighbors' courses so that a student could go from one campus to the next. And the last step we did is we sent it up to Ryan for feedback, and we're hoping to hear back from Ryan soon. But thank you, Ryan, for allowing me to present. I am available, my contact information, I'm not sure why I don't see it on the slide, but feel free if anybody wants to reach out. I'm more than happy to share what our group did. I can tell you the pros and cons of what we did, some of the struggles we had. So please reach out. I'm here to help anybody. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And here's the contact information for Rebecca. So next, we have our leads of the English and Math ACME groups who are going to talk a little bit about how the ACME policy will begin being phased in for the fall schedule. The teams consisting of our faculty have been working tirelessly to design curriculum and placement processes that will maximize the probability that our students get to and through college level English and Math within the first year or 24 credits. Up first are James Gentile and Drew Satilli, coordinators of ACME English, to speak about how the new English courses fit within the fall schedule.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, everyone. Andrew Satilli here. I teach English at Manchester, and I'm one of the leaders of the ACME English project. So on the next slide, you'll see that although our long-term plan is to engage students in a guided self-placement process, that for fall 2023, we developed a directed placement process based on self-reported GPA and other multiple measures such as SAT scores. We use data from IR looking at the relationship between student success in developmental and gateway English and their GPA to inform our new cut scores and to determine which students were most likely to succeed in proposed developmental, co-requisite, and gateway courses. So here's where we landed. Students with a self-reported GPA of 2.8 or higher or a comparable measure will place directly into Gateway English 1010, which is the new name for English 101. Students with GPAs between 2.3 and 279 will place into a co-requisite pairing of English 1010 and 1010W, which is that co-requisite workshop. Students with GPAs of 2.0 to 2.29 place into a 0930, which is a 3-hour developmental course. And students below 2.0 will be placed into a 0960 or a 6-hour developmental course. My colleague James Gentile is going to walk you through on the next slide how we projected the English scheduling needs across the 12 colleges. James?
Because of the change in placement numbers, the alignment of our developmental curriculum for 12 campuses, and the creation of the co-requisite course, past schedules couldn't simply be rolled over as we're using that term today. We worked with our IR colleagues so that each chair could create a schedule reflective of campus needs, and this slide outlines that process. IR, especially David Nielsen, who we want to acknowledge, identified high school GPAs as well as SAT scores of fall 22 new first-time students who registered for an English course. And then they estimated the enrollments in each class based on fall 22 counts, adjusted to reflect fall 23 campus level enrollment projections. They also took into account that, as in the past, there would be students both continuing and transfer in who would continue to need these courses to fulfill their degree. IR estimated that the number of these students would be similar from fall 22 to fall 23. And then based on that data, we were able to break down by campus the number of seats needed for each section. I would just make one note. When scheduling, one thing to keep in mind is that this is a cohort, not a commingled model for co-requisite remediation. Campuses in the past who had a commingled model for their embedded course may actually need a smaller number of cohorted sections, since more students should be in each section. And Ryan, if you look at the next slide, we have a breakdown of what the distribution should be in fall of 23. So 68% of our students will be placing in 1010W, 17% in 1010W, so 68 in 1010, 17% in 1010W, and about 15% will place in one of our developmental courses. I'm going to turn it back to Drew now. We'll talk about the process for scheduling these courses.
Thanks, James. So on the next slide, or this slide here, I should say, based on these projections, we've contacted chairs and coordinators with, among other things, estimated seats for 0960, 0930, 1010W, and 1010 for fall 2023. So in the coming weeks, chairs and coordinators will develop a schedule based on these projections and assign full-time faculty to those sections where appropriate. We really suggest a diverse schedule of days, times, and modalities. The approved curriculum that went through APRC last year indicates computer classrooms wherever possible, and that all modalities are appropriate for these courses. Campuses, of course, can decide whether online or LRON or hybrid or traditional versions of these courses really best meet the needs of their unique populations. We also think that late start sections and hidden seats will be important, so colleges can accommodate students who register late or after classes begin to ensure that full-time faculty meet their course load and that students have courses in which they can enroll. And then I'm going to toss back to James.
Although our focus today is ACME, we do want to talk briefly about scheduling of 1010 and other English courses. Other English courses will be entered into Banner locally, as Ryan suggested earlier, starting with English 1010. Courses above 1010, the Written Communication 2 courses, as well as our genre literature and creative writing courses, will be rolled over. These will be sent to each campus for adjustment. As an important note, students will be able to fulfill the Written Communication 2 requirement with 3 courses. We've labeled those here 102, 103, and 202 for clarity. They are being renumbered as 1020, 1030, and 1080. 2 of these courses, 1020 and 1030, serve as prerequisites for 200 level lit courses. This is not the same policy as it was in the past for every campus. Programs may have also specified one of these 3 courses to fulfill their Gen Ed Written Communication 2 requirement. Not all campuses offered these 3 courses in the past, so when we see a rollover schedule, we may not see these 3 options. We really strongly encourage you to identify which written communication courses your program and campus may need and schedule appropriately. I really love the way that CJ worked collaboratively to develop the schedule. We're hoping that the English SDC, as well as Brad Baker, also help to ensure that English is offering a diverse, non-competitive schedule moving forward for fall of 23. So we thank you, Ryan, for giving us this opportunity to talk about the English scheduling, and I'll introduce my math colleague, Deborah Rimkus, who will talk about mathematics scheduling. Deborah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Debbie Rimkus. I'm a professor of mathematics from Quinebaug Valley, and I'm one of the math discipline leads for ACME. My co-lead, Andre Freeman from Capital, could not be here today due to a prior obligation. Next slide. This chart gives an overview of most of the math courses offered at CT State. Briefly, most students will take math courses in one of 3 pathways. The quantitative reasoning pathway is in purple at the top. Underneath in orange is the statistics pathway, and along the bottom in blue is the pathway to calculus. In all 3 of these pathways, students may be advised either directly into a college-level course or into a college-level course paired with a co-requisite support course. Students in technical programs who do not need a transfer-level math course may take one of the courses in gray on the right. Next slide. ACME is being phased in over 2 years, beginning in the fall of 2023, and then with full implementation planned by the fall of 2025. During this phase-in period, prerequisite developmental education courses will be reduced, and metrics around student success in math courses will be closely monitored. Next slide. For the fall 2023 semester, prerequisite developmental courses with the new numbers of Math 0988 and Math 0989 will be retained at current levels. Students with GPAs below 2.8 will be initially advised to take these courses unless other multiple measures indicate that they could be placed higher. Next slide. Math 1010 Intermediate Algebra is being phased out over the next 2 years. A few health career programs will still advise their students into this course next academic year, and students who fail the course may wish to retake it, but otherwise students will not be advised to take this course. 2 to 4 sections per campus should be sufficient to meet these needs. Next slide. Co-requisite support courses will be offered in the 3 main math pathways in a cohort model, just like in English. This means that the same students will be enrolled in the co-requisite support course as in its paired college level course. Therefore, if a student drops the co-requisite support course, they must also drop the paired college level course and then enroll in a standalone college level course. Whenever possible, the same instructor will teach both the co-requisite support course and the college level course. Co-requisite support courses should not be taught asynchronously online, but all other modalities are acceptable. Next slide. Students in technical degrees who have no plans to take courses beyond the associate degree level may wish to take one of these non-transferable math courses. Math 1011 Applied Algebra with Modeling is an exception. It's currently offered primarily at Tunxis, and this course will transfer to Central, but not to any of the other CSUs. Next slide. These are the gateway transferable math courses. Our goal is that at full implementation in the fall of 2025, all students who require a transferable math course will place directly into one of these courses, with or without a co-requisite support course, depending on the needs of the student. There will be significantly more sections of Math 1100 Quantitative Reasoning and Math 1200 Statistics needed because these courses are replacing intermediate algebra. There may be a slight increase in Math 1600 College Algebra. Next slide. Students who are required to take pre-calculus or calculus courses in their program of study are the only students who should be advised into this pathway. For fall of 2023, those students with GPAs below 2.8 will still be initially advised into prerequisite developmental courses. Intermediate algebra is no longer part of this pathway. Instead, using multiple measures, students with GPAs below 2.8 will be advised into college algebra alone or college algebra with a co-requisite support course. There is one new math course for students in the TAP Math Studies program called Math 2623, Foundations of Advanced Mathematics. This will be a low enrollment course with only 1 or 2 sections offered per semester in the entire state. Next slide. Lastly, here is the chart for the pathway to calculus. Intermediate algebra is no longer part of the pathway, and again, this pathway is intended only for those students who are required to take pre-calculus or calculus in their program of study. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. I'll turn it back over to Ryan for final words.
Thank you, Deborah, James, and Andrew. We'll now be taking our remaining time to answer some of your questions. Mike Stefanowitz, Interim Associate VP of Higher Ed Transitions, has been collecting your questions as they come in, and will moderate the Q&A. If any questions come to mind after this presentation, feel free to send your question to the scheduling support mailbox listed on your screen. And take it away, Mike.
Thank you, everybody. So the first question, I think, relates to the process that you're using to roll over the schedule. Someone asked, they said they've requested a different fall 2023 schedule from the fall 2022 schedule. It's not in concrete that fall 2023 will be exactly like fall 2022. So you could talk about how those changes would be made, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so nothing that we're rolling over into this foundational schedule is set in stone. It's for campuses to take and make changes from it to fit your fall 2023 needs. But like I said, it was important that we have the data in Banner. That it's much easier to make changes to the existing data than to build from scratch when you're building a 5,500 section schedule. And I think most campuses are used to using that model of taking the rollover from the previous year and making adjustments from that. So again, nothing in our foundational or rollover schedule is set in stone. It's for you to take and adjust to your needs.
Thank you. In the slide where we showed what the schedule looks like, where do students find the home campus where their class is offered? I think maybe that was the search screen, Ryan, that you showed.
Yeah, and I can probably pull that right back up for you and go to that page. So the campus will be the second column, the campus location.
Right.
It'll
Thank
be
you.
listed right there.
And related to that, around that time, you mentioned that once these schedules come back to Connecticut State, they'll be reviewed. And one of the items you mentioned was for workload compliance. Could you explain what that means?
Yeah, just ensuring that all part-timers and full-timers are within, the collective bargaining agreements workload limits. So part-timers are, no more than 8, and full-timers, depending on the union they're in, is like 19 or 22. So we'll be looking at workloads. Yeah, that's all that meant.
Right. Couple questions on finals. Manuel, you had gone over a finals week slide. Maybe Ryan, if you could pull that up. So just a question to clarify, will there be a finals week? Or will finals be the last week of scheduled classes with finals on the last meeting?
Yeah, I can take that too. So it'll be a finals week. So if your class meets Tuesdays and Thursdays, you will meet on either the Tuesday or the Thursday for the double block. So if you're usually meeting 75 minutes, you'll meet for 150 minutes on that Tuesday or that Thursday. We haven't done the final exam schedule out yet, but they'll be scheduled in a way so there will not be any overlap in exams.
Thank you.
Our goal will be to make sure that we have a finals week schedule out when we begin the semester, so that students and faculty know what to expect during that final week.
Okay. Could you define more clearly which classes can be offered in the 5-week span? I think maybe they're referring to the 7-week term. And also, is there a definition for requirements for LROM courses?
On the first part of the question, we have a certificate program that is offered on a cohort model, and students in that cohort complete a series of 3 parts of term that are 5 weeks each. And so we've allowed the exception for that certificate program to continue to offer those 5-week parts of term. But those are the only classes that we expect to be offered in that in a 5-week part of term. Our accelerated part of term is going to be in the 7-week format. And what was the second part of the question, Michael?
Is there a definition for requirements for LRON courses? I know the online meeting requirements were different at different campuses. Person wrote.
I'm not sure what the difference in requirements may have been at different campuses, but I hope to learn more about what those differences may have been so that we can address them and have a one uniform set of requirements and understandings as to what each of our modalities entail. And that's going to be one of the benefits of having our academic associates enter our schedules. Many a times as we pull reports or as we talk about offerings in the different modalities from one campus to the other, we're not using we may be using the same terminology, but we have different understanding of what the terminology is. So as we move forward, we hope that we will come to speak the same language and under the same understanding.
Thank you. How do you handle assigning online courses to instructors based on the iTeach mandate and that full-time and part-time faculty have till August 1st to complete it? Second part, when assigning online courses for adjuncts, will you take into account seniority? And I think it may be important to say that I don't think we will be in New Britain assigning those instructors, correct? That will be a local decision?
Yes, so Shared Services, HR, has shared the final PTL list with our campuses so that they can verify the accuracy. And as we apply this principle of the rollover schedule, we are delivering that scheduling package to the campuses. And our deans on the campuses and the program coordinators, the chairs, and faculty will engage in the type of conversations they've had in the past to make those assignments. And the pertinent academic officer on that campus will make assignments based on the finalized seniority list. And then they will share the results of those with us to upload to Banner, and then we will get support from the campuses on that initial upload. But after March 6th, our 3 academic associates will be the ones making those changes if changes are required. But that initial set of the assignments being made lies with the campus. And I think as the first part of that question connected with the IT, there are still other conversations going on in that respect. So there's more to come. And at the end of the day, we'll follow instructions as they develop, connected with how I teach impacts the teaching assignments. And again, whatever that practice is, our campus officers will be the ones who will be applying it on that first instance of developing the schedule.
Thank you. Will a group of students test drive the new look for the course registration before it goes live? And I can answer generally that there is a week scheduled of testing for the single college banner instance coming up at the end of February, where we will be testing everything in Banner. Degree works, degree audits, scheduling, billing, everything will be involved in that, including scheduling. Correct, Manuel?
That's right. The end-to-end testing for Banner. So when I and Ryan talked about uploading the inventory of some 1,700 classrooms and some 4,000 sections, that information connected with 4,000 sections that were offered in the fall of 2022, those were uploaded to production Banner. That is being rolled into another test instance of Banner that will be tested here in February. And we're building the ship or the plane as we fly it. So we will try to engage as many stakeholders as possible to see that that the platforms perform as they are expected.
Thank you, Manuel. Will the course search include NOLO? So will there be an option to indicate OER or free for students' materials in the textbook information?
It will. It'll be an attribute that you can search by. And if you notice on the right-hand side of this course search results, there is a column for attributes. So if a course has multiple attributes, you'll see NOLO within those. But you can also, like I said, search by only courses that are no or low-cost textbook courses.
Thank you. 2 questions. The first one is, will data be collected to see if students are actually going between campuses to take courses? And there's a follow-up, since there's been a lot of talk about students taking courses at different campuses. Are we talking about online as well as traditional? If it's traditional, do we anticipate students driving from one campus to another? Is there data that supports students are interested? I think I can handle the second part. The first part, we certainly can track that, correct, Ryan?
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Yep, we can definitely track it.
Right. And we did an analysis a few years ago when we were beginning to look at the merger. And we looked at a graduating class, I think it was around 2018. And we found that of this graduated class at all of our community colleges, 24% of those students had attended more than one community college in our system. So there certainly has been interest in that in the past. We think that may increase with the ease of registration and cross-registration, if you will. Once students are admitted to Connecticut State, they will be able to sign up and take a class at any of our locations. So we certainly do see that. Anecdotally, we do hear for schools that are near each other that happens quite a bit. We hear a lot of information from Gateway. The students are taking courses at Housatonic and Gateway and vice versa. So we certainly do see the need for that.
And as we move forward, what I think we will also see become more common is students taking classes in person at their preferred campus, but also taking advantage of L-round classes offered by faculty at other campuses. And so students, one of the goals of our schedule again is to allow a schedule with sufficient pass time between classes so that students can transition from in-person instruction to an L-round class that may be taught by a faculty member on their home campus or at a different campus. And again, as Mike mentioned, students will not necessarily see any difference as far as who they're taking a class with, as it regards faculty teaching L-round classes.
Thank you. Related to the presentation that Rebecca did, if a discipline does not have program coordinator, who does the work to coordinate all the classes each semester for all the campuses? Would this be a job of a department chair? And then also a follow-up, who would someone contact if the work group wanted to pull data from fall registration, similar to the way criminal justice built their schedule? Is there one IR contact person? Would that be someone in the scheduling area?
So I can answer those. So the first part with the data was, believe it or not, you can just copy and paste off ComNet for search courses and drop it right into an Excel sheet. Yes, I know it really does work because I did it. And that's how we did the data. And then Katie and I kind of just sorted through it, looked at enrollment. We updated it with the new course codes, and we just kind of teased through that data. So we really didn't use anybody from IR, although I have to say Katie used to work in IR, so that might have helped. But it was a great experience to kind of just look through the data that way. So go into, mycomnet.edu, search your courses. We just put in criminal justice, copy and pasted those schedules, put them in an Excel sheet, and it worked great. As far as if a campus doesn't have a PC, Capital, the CJPC is on leave right now, but their department chair actually came to our meetings, worked with us, collaborated with us. Quinebaug Valley also does not have a CJPC. They actually had another representative, their human services PC came to our meetings, as well as their interim academic dean. So I would suggest if a campus doesn't have somebody, reach out, see who can represent that campus there and have them at the table. And everybody who we worked with was excellent.
Great, thank you, Rebecca. Let's see. Will students in the English 1010W earn 3 or 6 college credits? Will they be charged for 3 or 6 credits? And who will be entering those sections? Will it be local schedulers or Connecticut State schedulers?
The co-requisite piece is 0 credits. English 1010 piece is 3 credits. So students will register for and pay for 6 credits. And those, our understanding is will be entered at the state level through Ryan's office.
Thank you. When a student contacts someone about an online course, how would they determine if it's a course at a campus or one from another college? Will Blackboard still divide courses by college?
We are working to build out the hierarchy in Blackboard. Not to get too techie, and it won't be techie because I'm not techie, but there, it used to use the term codes to assign the campuses in Blackboard. But now that we're under one term, we're working to figure out how to assign the campus code to Blackboard to create those hierarchies. So we will get there. We're well on our way, and it will be separated out by campus. And on the course schedule, all online courses are still campus-based. There is not an online college or an online campus. So if Capital's offering an fully online asynchronous, it is Capital's. It's not this online campus concept. Hope that answers the question.
I think so. Yep. Will all Connecticut State campuses offer weekend Saturday classes?
Again, I'd say that's still up to the campuses. It's encouraged. We've been talking about building a weekend college for a long time. So yeah, it'll be up to the campuses for sure. And we have the times available for you to choose from, and yeah, definitely.
And our hope is, as you look at the weekend offerings, that we take a close look at some of the courses that are most popular, maybe the top 20 courses for enrollment, and consider a section or for Saturday or sometime during the weekend that could serve to reach out to students who maybe have a work schedule during the week or many family responsibilities that prevent them from looking at in-person instruction during the week, but would benefit from having the opportunity to be on campus and to participate in campus life in that way and access resources, and also to have an opportunity to interact with faculty and enjoy the benefits of in-person instruction if they have challenges during the regular week to schedule courses that they can participate in person.
Thank you. How will course cancellations be handled?
Course cancellations will be conducted at the local level. The process for contacting students can be very complex, and campuses are in the best position to complete these processes and manage the contacting of students. And so those will continue to be handled at the local level. In the future, we hope to consider better ways to address current issues by leveraging on new technologies to make improvements. But at this point, we're relying on the structure and resources that we know work, and those are with the campus.
Thank you. Who will enter room schedule changes into there?
Take that. Yeah, so room schedules will be handled strictly through EMS. We've been working on a project to reestablish a cloud version of EMS for the last several months. And EMS will now be a bi-directional system. So it'll go to Banner and Banner will go to it. Whereas the current version, it only went from Banner to EMS. So now campuses will have the ability to make room changes through EMS that will go back into Banner and show on the student schedule. And campuses will be the ones to manage that. We are not trying to manage classrooms from New Britain when we are not the experts on any one individual campus.
Thank you. Are there requirements regarding the balance of on-ground versus other course formats offered by discipline or faculty member as there have been in the past?
I think those are conversations that are still underway. As we look at some of the trends currently in the ways that in-person instruction are offered at some campuses have many more hybrid offerings than full in-person instructional courses. And so as we look to the fall semester, we will continue to leverage some of the ways in which campuses have found that in-person instruction can best be delivered to meet the needs of students. And as we set up the schedule, I think one of our priorities will be to inform the number of offerings for in-person instruction to make sure that from the start of the schedule being made public, we have all of our in-person sections already in the schedule so that students can consider those type of sections when they build their schedule to make sure that those classes make. And if we can drive students to enroll to those classes, I would encourage all of us to visit with students, and when we have the opportunity to advise students as faculty members, that we recruit them to participate in in-person instruction. It really helps to build community and to have students have access to campus resources, not just faculty office hours, but tutoring and other resources that help build student success. So we will continue to rely in many ways with previous practices connected with the assignment of in-person instruction sections and modalities that the campuses have built. One of the areas where I hope we can build is in flex type of offerings. Those, the high flex sections seem to do well in enrollment, but we don't offer many. And I hope that as we move forward, faculty who feel comfortable with the technology work with their campus academic officers to make sure that those make up a higher percentage of our offerings. I think not only would our students benefit from participating in those classes in the home campus, but other students from other campuses may be attracted to those and to the opportunity of being on a different campus 2 or 3 times a semester, and then taking advantage of being able to participate on regular instruction using the HyFlex technology on a regular basis.
A few last logistical questions, and I see we're almost out of time. Is there a fall academic calendar for Connecticut State? Does it include final exam schedule? Will Connecticut State be completing that? And how long would a final exam be for a 6-credit course? I know that's a 3-parter there, Ryan, but.
That's okay. So the academic calendar is posted currently on the ct.edu webpage under academic calendars. It was done as part of a committee with the CSUs. So they're built out all the way until spring of 2028, I believe. Remind me of the second part and the third part.
Who will build the final exam schedule? And
We
what
will.
would it look like for a 6-hour or 6-credit course? Yeah.
Yeah, so we will be building the final exam schedule. And the 6 contact hour will also be a 150-minute period. It won't be a 300. It won't be a 300-minute period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then one last question is, how will online courses at multiple campuses be managed? And I don't know if this is relating to decisions on cancellation or choosing how many to run at various campuses.
We will take the recommendations from each campus. And after March 6th, we will consider that schedule in a holistic way, and through interactions between Ryan and the school deans, the academic associates, and the campus deans at the different campus at each of our campus, we will consider offerings in a holistic way to make sure. Again, one of the things that we hope to improve in the next iteration of our Fall 2023 schedule is the way in which we utilize our offerings to build economies of scale. Currently, each semester, about a quarter of our seats go unused. And so we will work to find ways to make sure that we better utilize our human resources, and in that way also be better stewards of our budget resources and limitations.
Great, thank you. I did receive a few questions about what would happen if someone doesn't meet workload, and would there be bumping involved of adjuncts either at their current campus or another campus? I know there's still some negotiations happening with the collective bargaining units because the contract doesn't address that. It certainly addresses it at a single campus if a full-timer does not have a full load. But I don't think it addresses if someone does not meet a load and needs to teach at another campus. So I don't think there's a hard and set answer on that. Manuel, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's still to be determined.
Yeah, and I don't anticipate that that we will have challenges as a result of somebody not being assigned full load. That's goal number 1 as we set up to look at our schedule in a comprehensive way. And this is why with the first instance of setting up the schedule involves working with the campuses, and the campuses making those assignments and taking into consideration each of their faculty members and their load assignments. So they will make those considerations and recommendations. After they do that, Ryan's team will check to make sure that we meet our contractual obligations and faculty are able to make load given the assignments that they have received. So again, I don't anticipate that will be a challenge at all.
Great, thank you. I think that wraps things up today. We're a little bit over time, but I want to thank Manuel and Ryan and the scheduling associates and the whole team, our presenters for English and math. Thank you. And I know that I've worked with all these folks and they're more than happy to answer questions individually if they need to. I know that both the English and math folks are sending out recommendations to each campus to help folks with the scheduling process going forward. We tried to not get too in the weeds today, but give an overview of the process and how we'll be rolling this out. So I want to thank everybody, and Dr. Gomez, I give you the last word.
I just want to say that thank you in advance for working with us to make sure that the Fall 2023 schedule meets the needs of our students. It's going to be an adventure to get there, but I know that we all have the common goal of ensuring that our schedule meets the needs of all of our students and their very complex and complicated lives. And I know that together we'll build a schedule that meets their needs and that works for all of us. So I thank you in advance for your collegiality to make sure that the schedule also meets the needs of your colleagues and yourself and the program as a whole. So thank you so much and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you, Mike, for facilitating sharing those questions with us.
Happy to. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.